This is the country of Azerbaijan, and it's a country probably most people haven't heard of. Actually, I don't remember the name either, to tell you the truth. Being a typical American, even if I study geography, I seem to miss some countries, and I wasn't familiar with this name. I was familiar with Georgia and Armenia, of course. It was recently leaked through the Obama administration that Israel was going to possibly make a deal with this country, Azerbaijan, to use its bases or airstrips, or use it as a refueling area for its planes in a possible attack on Iran. Now, you can see Israel's down here, and also there's been talk from like Brzezinski, this guy who I actually said was, I saw this thing on, what the heck you call it again, Godlike Productions. Somebody posted, and the poster was from Israel, that he was dead, and I thought, wow, they're going to change the policy. Well, his policy, he has a lot of clout in the Obama administration. He stated many times that Israel is not going to be allowed to use the airspace that's controlled by the United States. In other words, the airspace that's in Iraq for the Israeli planes to fly over for refueling to attack Iran. So that was totally out of the question. Now, what was really interesting here is that the fact that the Obama administration basically leaked this information. Now, to me, I think Obama's days are numbered right now, because I think he's playing too much where he's just looking for his own re-election strictly. It's not even so much that he's playing some other card here. He's playing the fact that he wants to get re-elected. He's afraid oil prices are going to go up during his election year, and then he won't get re-elected. That's it right there in simplistic terms. That's what it is. Now, I want to point something out about this country here. Now, for one, being between Russia and Iran, for them to have military strength is very important. You would think that. And part of the deal, if Israel was going to use these air bases in Azerbaijan, that they would get weapons for making this deal. Now, the thing is with this country, what you might find interesting is that they're basically the same religion as Iran. Now, if you zoom in here a little bit more, you see this little green thing here. These are mainly Armenians. It's kind of like, I don't know, this whole area is kind of like, it's got, there's like a million ethnic groups everywhere in the world. But these are Armenians, and they're mainly Christians, right? So, but Azerbaijan, most of the people in there are the same type of Muslims, or, Islam. They follow the same type of Islam that Iran does. But you know what? The majority of the people in this country do not trust Iran. It's kind of like a shaky, you're over there and we're over here, that type of deal. It's not really like, in other words, Iran puts that thing out about they never attacked a country in 100 years. They do a lot of stuff covertly, and there's a lot of different groups they support throughout the Middle East to push their side of Islam. It's been going on that way for hundreds of years. I personally think the Iranian regime is very radical. That's my personal belief, and I also pointed out many times that their pursuit of enriching uranium for peaceful purposes is ludicrous, because the world is pretty much going to run out of uranium within about 20 years. And they're sitting on like 100 years worth of natural gas. So why would they go bother to do this uranium stuff? It's crazy. It's really for weapons, but I don't know. People don't want to believe that because they listen to Russia Today all day long, which is always criticizing everything that comes out of the Western major media. But Russia Today is also a bunch of disinformation in itself. I want to point out a little bit about this country, Azerbaijan, and one thing I did state already, that their main religion, actually, they don't have like an enforced religion though. They're not. In other words, they follow the same Shia branch of Islam as Iran, but they're also one of the most liberal of the Muslim nations too. So it's a little different in that country than it is in Iran. And they don't basically trust Iran, to tell you the truth. You know, it's an uneasy peace that they have. As far as the economy, after gaining independence in 1991, Azerbaijan became a member of the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and Islamic Development Bank, and the Asian Development Bank. So basically, they're in a new world order. So actually, if Iran attacked this country because they supported Israel, guess what's going to happen? It's going to get defended. And also, the banking system of Azerbaijan consists of the Central Bank of Azerbaijan. So they got the old banking racket going on there too. They should buy silver, but you know, actually what you got here, they got a country full of silver too. But anyway, 2/3 of Azerbaijan is rich in oil and natural gas. You know, that makes a lot of sense considering where it's located. Look where Iran is, look where Azerbaijan is, and Iran is like totally rich in natural gas and crude oil. So you would figure the same thing for them too. It's the region. It also has a lot of gold, silver, copper, iron, titanium, chromium, manganese, cobalt, molybdenum, and in other words, it's very rich in natural resources. Now, I consider that extremely important because the state oil company of the Azerbaijan Republic, SOCAR, they signed a 30-year contract in 1994. So that means it goes up to 2024, right? They signed it with Amoco, which is basically, you know, the Ken Fromm company, right? I guess it was Arco then or whatever the hell it was. BP, ExxonMobil, and Lukoil, and State Oil. So, you know, these are the people, I guess, Lindsey Williams talks about maybe. I don't know if these are the same ones, but obviously they're developing these oil fields in this area. And, you know, in other words, if I was this country, considering that I was connected to the IMF, the World Bank, and all this type of stuff like that, I got all these American oil companies working with my state oil company to develop oil. I'm not going to be too afraid of Iran. And so I think, you know, I understand what they're doing. But actually, I read a number of posts by some people from this country that are very supportive of Israel. And they're of the same religious sect as many of the Iranians. So that tells you something right there. I found that to be very interesting. So, you know, as far as the Obama administration surviving to a second term, I kind of doubt that very much. I think he's in hot water. And Israel actually does not trust the Obama administration at all because, well, just as, you know, and now it's a no-brainer. Israel pretty much feels that if they tell the United States or, you know, the Obama administration what they're going to do ahead of time, the Obama administration is going to covertly tip off Iran as to what they're going to when the attack is going to happen. And considering that they publicly let the bag out with this, you know, using maybe Azerbaijan as a refueling facility for Israeli planes, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. If I was Israel, I wouldn't tell Obama nothing what I was going to do. You know, you just wouldn't. And it's not like Obama is acting in the interest of the United States even. What he's doing is he's acting in the interest of his re-election. So I think his days are numbered. You know, so, like, if you're standing up against Israel for the interest of the United States, it's one thing. But if you're doing it for your own personal interest, that's another thing. That's a totally different thing. And, you know, I am of the camp, I read a lot of things about, you know, Israel this and Israel that. I read all the different criticisms. And, you know, I really do see that Iran is a major threat to peace in this area. And, you know, being familiar with the Rabbini Trust and the Baha'i sect, religious sect that was persecuted in Iran by these fundamentalist screwballs. That's what I call them. I mean, they weren't against Muhammad or against Islam. They just included Abraham and included Jesus in their religion. But you know, Islam, the way they have it in Iran, not how they have it in Azerbaijan, it's a very aggressive type of viewpoint. Everybody is either going to convert or die. And it's not necessarily that's what the religion is about, because actually this country, Azerbaijan, they have the same sect, the same side of Islam, but they're not pushing it in an aggressive way. The regime in Iran is actually about that. And I think people need to understand that, despite what Russia Today says so many times. Russia Today is a bunch of propaganda coming right from the Russian state, you know, the secret police and Putin and all this other stuff. They're sometimes pretty good for some kind of information, but you remember, they leave out a lot of information. It's just like, you know, if you want to criticize Israel on something, if you only show the negative, you make Israel look bad. If you only show the negative, you know, if you show what's good about something, you know, you got to put the balance in there. So I think Americans are kind of getting brainwashed by the other side a little bit. And, you know, I'm not on the side of the major media in the United States either. I think there's a bunch of garbage coming out of that too. But I think Israel should be supported in this endeavor. And I think they will be. I think they will be. I hope so.